It's the Fisherman's Catch Coaches Show on Eagle Country 103.9. Each week, we preview and review all the stories in Ilwaco High School athletics. Now let's take the field, tee up, hit the mat, and settle into the starting blocks for the Fisherman's Catch Coaches Show on Eagle Country 103.9.
Welcome to the Fisherman's Catch on Eagle Country 103.9. Brought to you in part each week by Taft Plumbing and Septic in Ocean Park. I'm Sean O'Connor in the office of Kevin McNulty, the Ilwaco High School Athletic Director, and we're talking about fisherman football today. And later on in the show, we'll be transitioning into the winter sports season here at Ilwaco High School. That's getting underway here in a couple of weeks. But we'll start the show here by talking about the fisherman football team. Unfortunately, Coach, the season came to an end on Saturday in Centralia in your playoff game against a good Toledo football team. And the first thing that I found out about this game was through the Longview Daily News online, and they had this really good headline on there that I thought really spelled out how this game went pretty well. It said that Ilwaco gives Toledo all it could handle, but came up short in the playoff game. 35-14 was the final score, but your team really did give them a good run there for a full 3 quarters before Toledo pulled away there in that fourth quarter. But do you think that's a pretty good way to look at it, as your team gave them all they could handle for most of it?
Absolutely. We did come out on the low end of the score, and it's been a tough one. It's been a rough couple of nights' sleep. You rethink and relive, wondering what you could have done different. All we could ask our kids is to give it their best effort and leave it on the field. That's what we preached all week. And that's exactly what happened. Our kids did an outstanding job. They put us in a situation to be in the ball game in the fourth quarter against the number 2 ranked team in the state, a team that we'd lost to in week 2, 42-13, and we were in the ball game, a 20-14 ball game, entering the fourth quarter. We had them in a 2nd and 24 on their own 20. And things were looking good. They were reeling. They were starting to get after one another, chip, if you will. And that was one of our objectives. We wanted to put stress on them, see if they would fall apart. They're undefeated this year, and we just wanted to give them a test. And, we just couldn't get anything to bounce our way. We were looking for a break at some point. We didn't get it. They had 0 turnovers. They had, not a whole lot of mistakes. We had 2 turnovers. But that all being said, we scored in the third quarter, made it 20-14. Fourth quarter, we had our opportunities. They were able to get a first down, run 2 consecutive crisscross plays with double handoffs out of the wing tee, and they're able to get that first down with good athletes. They're superior physically than we are, but I'll tell you what, heart-wise they aren't. Our kids were in it and battled, and compliments to Toledo, a good football team. They ran their record to 11-0, but they ended up taking that one down and scoring, and going from 2nd and 24 to eventually scoring. That made it 28-14. We were then forced into a situation where we had to go for it and gave them a short field, and they ended up taking that down and scoring at the end of the ball game, which makes it look like it might not have been a ball game. Anybody that was there knew it was a ball game. Toledo knew it was a ball game. The final 35-14. Ilwaco can hold their heads high. We did some things. We gave them all they could handle to a point, and we're just really proud of that. Sure, when you're in a ball game like that, and it is a 2014 game in the fourth, then you start getting these ideas of this is all we wanted, is to be in a situation to win the football game. So then you want more, and the end result is we didn't get that, and so it's been a tough pill to swallow for our kids and our coaches. When you invest the time and energy and everybody makes the sacrifice, that's the way it goes, and that's athletics, and there's lessons to be learned regardless of whether we won or lost. Our kids invested, and they know what it feels like to invest in something and to work as a unit and suffer defeat, but know that you gave it your best. And so we walked off holding our heads high. There were some tears, and hey, we had a successful season. We did some things, and our senior leadership has left a legacy with our program.
Yeah, it's got to be really difficult emotionally for sure to get so close there going into that fourth quarter and then coming up short. Just looking back on it going into that fourth, what do you feel like was the big difference in the game?
Well, the big difference in the game was probably that when we put them under stress, they did answer the bell, quite frankly. We had a couple opportunities, and we needed to have, quite frankly, the mistake-free football game and probably count on a couple miscues from them. They didn't have the couple miscues, and we played maybe as solid a football game as we've played all year.
Yeah.
Which needed to happen. And we were down there in a scoring situation right at the end of half, and we ended up throwing a pick. And I'll take the blame for that, not necessarily the kid or the quarterback or the receiver or anybody else. We went for it. If I had it to redo, we might go with something else. But it was the heat of the moment, and you have a limited amount of time to call the play. Mm-hmm. And we laid it up, and there's a safety over the top, and he come over and made the interception. And that was an opportunity. We had a little bit earlier in the second quarter with a 14-6 ball game, and we snap it over our quarterback's head, and they end up converting that on a short field to a score. Our defense did some great things, and we stopped them. Initially, when the game started, holy cow, I thought this is going to be a long night. They're running trap, and we didn't stop it, not a time. And, Bob Enos, our D coordinator, made some adjustments. Our kids noticed what was happening, and we were able to stop some of that. But we did some things much better than we did week 2 against them and forced them into struggles themselves.
Well, Toledo did come away with the win, and so that puts an end to the Ilwaco football season for this year. But we'll take a time out here in the Fisherman's Catch and come back with some more football thoughts before we start to preview the winter sports season. This is the Fisherman's Catch on Eagle Country 103.9. And welcome back to the Fisherman's Catch on Eagle Country 103.9, brought to you in part each week by Taft Plumbing and Septic in Ocean Park. Talking to Kevin McNulty, the Ilwaco High School Athletic Director, on the Fisherman Fall Sports season, which is actually coming to an end now with the football team having lost in the playoffs to Toledo, but a really good football game, a good effort put up by the Fisherman football team we were just talking about. The final score 35-14, but the Fishermen really kept this a good game all the way through 3 quarters, 20-14 going into that final quarter before Toledo pulled away. Just looking back on this game, Coach, you're talking about how there's nothing to be ashamed of, and the kids had their heads held up high with a really good effort. So did you really feel like that they left it all out on the field in this last game?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Our kids... I was proud to be associated with them. They were doing things, sometimes you just meet somebody that's bigger, faster, stronger. We met a group that has had an outstanding season, and we're not, the fastest team in the league. We're not the biggest, and we're not the strongest, but we were there, and they knew they were in for a battle. And our kids didn't quit, never quit. And our fans were so supportive. It was nice to go off at halftime. We were down 20-6, and our crowd is standing and cheering our kids, knowing that we're giving them a game. And then we come out in the third quarter and make some noise and stop them. We stopped the trap play. We stopped their quarterback, Dalton Yoder, 6'3", 235-pound kid. They're going to try running with him.
Wow.
Week 2, they had success with him doing that. And we stuff him. We sack him. We are having a field day with him. Then we make a drive, and it's a pretty drive. And several plays, as I've mentioned throughout the season, we don't have anybody that's super fast that we can break away and count on outrunning the defense. So we had to be in plot horse mode and chunk it all the way down the field, and we did. And scored. Brandon McMullen was running hard. Our line was getting blocks. We were running multiple formations to put the defense in a little bit of a quandary. We found some things we liked, and we were having success with them. We got in the end zone. We went for 2. We got that. Ethan Bannister on a catch. We just did some really good things. Both teams were onside kicking. Neither of us got a recovery. Both fielded it well. We tried the onside kick. They were able to get it, and then they went back, handed off, and had a holding call, and that's when we were set up. Like I say, that was the 2nd and 24. They were chipping, wheels were falling off. There's kids angry, pointing fingers, and we felt this was our time. Our kids noticed it, our coaches noticed it, and our fans noticed it. To their credit, they pulled out of it. They have some kids that make plays, and they made plays. The same kid ran the ball twice in a row, was able to make cuts and weave and in and out of people and get the first down. And that was really kind of a backbreaker. It certainly didn't end the game, but it was a moment that what if we would have held them, and us getting the ball with momentum on our side. And then when we did get the ball, of course, they did eat some clock up going down and getting that score. We felt like this is our time. We might not touch the ball again if we don't go for it. We had a 4th and 2. We got together as a coaching staff. We made a call. They happened to have the right call on defensively to stop ours, and it wasn't a tendency that they'd had. I watched 5 game films of this team that we were playing. They blitzed their outside backer a total of 1 time. They blitzed him on this particular time. That would be 2 out of 6 games, and he happened to bat the pass down. And, then you start going, oh, I wish I would have called that instead. But we play the odds. It didn't happen, and they ended up with the ball right there, and were able to take it in the 30 yards for the score eventually, and that was the ball game. But it was really a much closer ball game. Anybody that was there, it wasn't just like we entered the 4th quarter 20-14. It was 20-14 halfway through the 4th quarter. So it changed at the end there. We had to take some risks. We didn't go up there to lose close. We went up there to win the football game, and that's what we were after, and only one team was advancing. And, we felt the sadness at the end. All you can say to kids is that you left it out, all of it out there on the field. You got to be proud of that. And at the end of the season, ultimately, there's going to be one team that's not in tears.
Yeah.
Everybody else is going to experience the agony of defeat. Mm-hmm. And, we're trying to teach kids lifetime skills. And, we'd like everything to be hunky-dory. It doesn't always finish that way. So we got to experience this week. Tough transition. Now we put the pads up and move on to winter sports. I'll still be thinking about formations and what we can do to pick apart defenses, but I quickly have to switch gears, as do the kids.
Yeah. It's a really tough loss when you make it that competitive, but it really feels like that your team pressed Toledo to the point where they're almost uncomfortable. It's like they, maybe they weren't expecting this kind of a fight all the way into the 4th quarter. So did it kind of feel like your team was pressing Toledo to go to an even bigger level than they're used to?
For sure. Their coaches come over. Their coaches were texting me after the game, sent us an email. They didn't expect that. They knew what had happened week 1 week 2 earlier in the season, and in a non-league game. I think they expected to have their way with us.
Yeah.
And it wasn't going to be much of a ball game. In fact, his pregame show and announcers, the radio that did the play-by-play, felt like this was going to be just one of those where they take care of business. And the Fishermen wanted it to be different and did everything they could. I commend our kids. I commend our coaches. And thank you, fans, because with all of those people working together, we did some great things. We had a great season. And, these kids, these seniors that will be moving on, really moved our program the last few years in the right direction. Their leadership will carry on. Their things that they accomplished will carry on. Being in the state playoffs first time in 15 years. Those things. These kids will be able to look back and be very proud of what they've done. And likewise, we hope to continue that into the future, where these younger guys continuing to make that an expectation. And, we're blessed.
All right. It was a really good football season for the Fishermen, and now we start to transition into winter sports, and we'll talk about some of those winter sports happenings here in the next segment. The Fisherman's Catch, brought to you each week in part by Taft Plumbing and Septic in Ocean Park. We'll come back and talk a little bit more fisherman sports here on the Fisherman's Catch on Eagle Country 103.9. And welcome back to the Fisherman's Catch on Eagle Country 103.9, brought to you in part each week by Taft Plumbing and Septic in Ocean Park. We just got done talking about the Fisherman football team and how the season came to an end and their playoff loss to Toledo. Coach, real quick here before we get into some of the recognition that your fall teams got here with some awards you have to announce. What's going to be your favorite thing from the football season?
The fact that our kids pulled together as a team, the fact that we improved each and every week. I can continue. We play better this last week. Not often you can say that. You have peaks and valleys. Our kids improved each and every week. The season just wasn't long enough. They've been a fun group to work with. I've enjoyed our coaches. One thing, side note, our defensive coordinator, Bob Enos, is hanging up his hat in football after 40 years of coaching football, being a defensive coordinator for many, many years at Forks High School, and then worked at Montesano. Great program with the same head coach, Coach Terry Jensen. And we were fortunate enough to get Bob to help out with our staff, and he's been here the last 8 years, I believe, working with Ilwaco football and hanging in there through the thick and thin, and did a great job. And we'd spoke many times this year about our defense improving, and Bob is the one that spends countless hours watching film, getting game plans ready, and he's impacted a lot of lives, not only here in Ocean Beach School District, but also at Montesano and at Forks. And he's going to be missed in our football program. Fortunately for us, he's continuing on coaching basketball. He's also our golf coach, so he's a busy fella, and get to spend some time with his wife, which she's been hanging by, waiting for him, and she deserves all those opportunities to do whatever she wants to do. So I'd like to thank Coach Bobby Enos.
Yeah, wow. He really had a great run with the Fisherman football team. Did a great job with the defense this year, absolutely. Let's talk about some of those the accolades that you had your football and volleyball teams receive.
Well, in volleyball, we had a couple gals named our honorable mention. Madeline Jacobson, she's a junior, and Ebby McMullen as a sophomore, and they're both honorable mention all-conference this year. In our improved volleyball team, and as you can tell, they're both underclassmen. We look forward to future success. Academically, we had 4 gals named to the academic all-conference, and I mentioned that, and people kind of, what's that mean? Well, it means you have above a 3.7 GPA. Elizabeth Colm, a senior. Madeline Jacobson, you heard that name a minute ago. Elizabeth McMullen, you heard that name, and Jasmine Judd. So did a nice job in the classroom as well as on the volleyball court. And on the football field, we had some guys named to the all-conference. Dalen Kimmer, senior lineman, first team O-line, second team D-line. Alec Bell, team captain, second team running back. And as you well know, Alec's a kid that missed 5 games, 5 weeks with injury. Our other captain is Jack O'Neill, and Jack was all-conference quarterback. Second team linebacker is actually a second team QB, and Jack is, in my estimation, the best quarterback in the league. Good ball player and a tremendous leader for us. Brandon McMullen was a first-team linebacker and second-team running back. A junior, returns. Marcelo Lazaro, first-team D-line, second-team O-line, junior, so we get him back. Georgie Galvan, our kicker, the guy that's famous for the onside kicks, and it was nice to see him get some league recognition, and he was second team. And then Ethan Bannister, a senior wide receiver for us, was honorable mention, and Alex Kino, first team receiver, second team defensive back. So those are some kids that did quality things on a quality team. Brandon McMullen and Jeb Sheldon, academic all-conference, above a 3.7 GPA. Furthermore, our teams received some academic acknowledgement from the state of Washington, and our volleyball team, varsity volleyball team, had an accumulative GPA of a 3.59.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty darn good. We're pretty proud of them. Our cross-country team had a 3.29 GPA. Our cheer team had a 3.2. And our football had a 3.08. So all of them above a 3.0 GPA here at Ilwaco High School. We're pretty darn proud of those, and that's our athletic programs. Not only doing it on the field, the court, or out running, they're doing it in the classroom as well. So we're excited about that. We're excited about the future of Ilwaco fall sports.
Yeah, congratulations to all the students on their accomplishments in the fall sports season. And real quick here, before we head out for this final fall show, the Fisherman's Catch, what are you expecting from the winter sports season?
More success. Success is measured in number of kids participating, kids having fun, kids making memories. We will also have success on the court and on the mats, and look forward to that. And there'll be more to come, but our goal is to get lots of bodies out and keep kids active. So we're looking forward to winter. Got to switch gears here, start talking different terminology, and myself, I'll be taking a wrestling mat. Coach Tim Harrell will be on the boys basketball court. Coach Ned Bittner with our girls basketball. Elizabeth Bonney with our cheer. And we look forward to keeping lots of kids busy.
All right, that's going to do it for the fall sports season here in the Fisherman's Catch. And we'll be talking winter sports next time we're back here. And should be fun. We got basketball to talk about and wrestling, and should be a really exciting season of winter sports. But that's going to do it for this week on the Fisherman's Catch, brought to you in part by Taft Plumbing and Septic in Ocean Park. And this show is also now available on our YouTube podcast archive. You'll find it at Ohana Media Group Coaches Shows on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. That will do it for the Fisherman's Catch on Eagle Country 103.9.
This has been the Fisherman's Catch Coaches Show on Eagle Country 103.9. Join us each week during the school year at 6 p.m. Wednesdays as we take a closer look at Ilwaco High School athletics on Eagle Country 103.9.